From the opening seconds, the contrast between the fighters was clear. Evander Holyfield moved with the quickness of a much smaller man, bouncing lightly on his toes as he circled the massive challenger. His jab flicked out like a measuring stick, snapping toward George Foreman's face again and again. The champion's strategy was obvious: stay mobile, strike quickly, and avoid the crushing power that had once made Foreman the most feared knockout artist in boxing. Foreman, however, remained calm and patient. The 42-year-old stood tall with his arms raised in a defensive shell, absorbing the champion's probing attacks as he studied every movement. For nearly half of the opening round, the challenger barely threw a punch, but every time he twitched forward, the crowd reacted with a burst of anticipation. When Foreman finally fired a jab, the arena roared as if a thunderclap had struck the ring. Holyfield immediately responded with a crisp combination, a left hook followed by a straight right hand that snapped the older fighter's head back. The champion pressed forward, testing the waters, darting inside to land quick punches before slipping away again. It was a tactical opening round, one dominated by speed and precision. But the second round told a different story. Foreman suddenly began letting his hands go. A heavy jab landed squarely, followed by another that forced Holyfield backward. Then came the moment that sent shockwaves through the arena, a crushing uppercut that burst through the champion's guard and snapped his head upward. The crowd erupted. Foreman surged forward with surprising aggression, hammering body shots and swinging wide hooks. For a brief moment, the younger champion looked shaken as the old legend bullied him across the ring. When the bell rang to end the round, the momentum had shifted. The message was clear: the old champion still possessed the power to change everything with a single punch. The third round began with urgency radiating from the champion's corner. Evander Holyfield understood that he could not allow the challenger to build confidence, and he came out firing. His jab snapped forward repeatedly, creating openings for the explosive combinations that had carried him to the heavyweight title. A sharp left hook slipped past George Foreman's guard, followed instantly by a straight right that echoed through the arena. The champion was now attacking in bursts, unleashing 3- and 4-punch combinations before pivoting away from the older fighter's counters. Foreman attempted to answer with his trademark looping right hand, but the punch sailed just past Holyfield's head as the champion slipped out of range. Suddenly the momentum had shifted again. Holyfield surged forward with a relentless flurry: left hook, right cross, another hook to the body. The challenger tried to hold him off with his long arms, but the younger man kept punching, hammering the defensive guard that Foreman had crossed tightly in front of his face. 10 seconds remained in the round when Holyfield exploded with another furious combination, snapping Foreman's head back and forcing him to retreat a step. The bell finally rang and the champion returned to his corner knowing he had reclaimed control, yet the fight was far from settled. The fourth and fifth rounds unfolded like a chess match fought with fists. Holyfield's speed allowed him to land the cleaner punches, darting in and out while peppering the challenger with jabs and hooks. But Foreman continued to march forward like an immovable force, absorbing punishment and occasionally firing back with crushing body shots that made the champion wince. Each time it seemed the challenger might be fatting, he answered with another powerful swing. The crowd watched in awe as the aging legend refused to surrender ground. By the sixth round, both fighters had begun to feel the weight of the battle. Sweat glistened under the lights as Evander Holyfield continued his relentless assault, snapping jabs into George Foreman's face and following them with lightning-quick combinations. The champion's hand speed was becoming a defining factor in the fight. Every time Foreman tried to set his feet and launch one of his devastating power punches, Holyfield beat him to the target with 2 or 3 shots of his own. Yet the challenger refused to fade. Each heavy body blow he landed echoed through the arena like a drumbeat, reminding everyone that one clean punch could still change the fight. But nothing could have prepared the audience for what would happen in the seventh round. It began with a thunderous right hand from Foreman that cracked against Holyfield's head and sent a wave of excitement through the crowd. The champion staggered slightly, and the challenger surged forward, throwing punch after punch in an attempt to seize the moment. For a few seconds it looked as if the old warrior might overwhelm the younger champion. Then Holyfield answered. A right uppercut shot upward through Foreman's guard, followed by a blistering left hook and another straight right. The champion unleashed a furious barrage, hammering the challenger with punches that would have knocked down almost any heavyweight in the world. The crowd leapt to its feet as the two giants stood toe-to-toe in the center of the ring, trading devastating blows without retreat. Foreman absorbed everything and kept coming. Holyfield answered every attack with another combination. It was a breathtaking exchange, a clash of heart, power, and determination. When the bell finally rang, the arena exploded with applause. Fans knew they had just witnessed one of the most unforgettable rounds in heavyweight boxing history. After the breathtaking seventh round, the fight entered its final and most dangerous phase. Evander Holyfield returned to his corner breathing heavily, yet his focus remained sharp. Across the ring, George Foreman sat on his stool with swelling forming around his eyes, but the legendary challenger still looked determined. When the eighth round began, Holyfield resumed the strategy that had brought him success throughout the fight: speed, movement, and relentless combinations. The champion circled to his left, pumping quick jabs and sneaking right hands through Foreman's guard. The older fighter continued pushing forward, throwing heavy punches whenever he found the chance, but the younger man's quickness was becoming increasingly difficult to overcome. By the ninth round, the pace had intensified once again. Holyfield stepped inside with a perfectly timed right hand that crashed against the challenger's head and sent a jolt through the crowd. Foreman stumbled for a moment and the champion instantly recognized the opportunity. Holyfield surged forward with a ferocious barrage of punches, left hooks, straight rights, and sharp combinations that rained down on the aging legend. The challenger's legs wavered as he struggled to defend himself against the onslaught. For a few seconds it seemed the fight might end right there, but somehow Foreman endured. The bell rang just in time to save him, and the crowd watched in amazement as the 42-year-old walked back to his corner still standing. The 10th round followed with both fighters showing incredible courage. Holyfield continued to land the faster punches, but Foreman refused to surrender, swinging wide hooks and forcing the champion to stay alert every second. Each exchange reminded everyone watching that heavyweight boxing can change in an instant. The challenger might have been behind on the scorecards, but the power in his fists remained a constant threat. Championship rounds arrived with tension thick in the air. Both men were exhausted, yet neither had lost the will to fight. In the 11th round, referee Ready Battle finally took action after repeatedly warning George Foreman about low blows, deducting a point from the challenger. It was a costly penalty in a fight that was already slipping away from the aging contender. Evander Holyfield seized the moment, stepping forward with crisp combinations that landed again and again on Foreman's swollen face. The champion's speed continued to shine as he fired jabs and right hands in rapid succession, controlling the tempo of the bout. Foreman still fought back with stubborn determination, but his punches were slower now, and the power that once terrified opponents seemed just a little less explosive. When the 12th and final round began, the situation was clear. Foreman needed a knockout to win the fight and complete one of the most remarkable comebacks in sports history. The challenger pressed forward desperately, swinging wide punches in search of a miracle. But Holyfield stayed disciplined, circling the ring and answering with clean combinations whenever the older fighter stepped inside. The seconds ticked away as the crowd rose to its feet, applauding the incredible effort from both warriors. Finally, the bell rang, bringing the epic battle to an end. The fighters embraced in the center of the ring, a moment of respect between generations. When the judges' scorecards were announced, the result was unanimous. The winner, and still the heavyweight champion of the world, Evander "The Real Deal" Holyfield. Though he had lost the fight, George Foreman left the ring with something equally powerful: the admiration of everyone who had witnessed his courage. On that unforgettable night, youth had prevailed, but the heart of a legend had stolen the show.